Ronaldo, 27 goals for Manchester United after his iconic return. The roar began before the ball even touched his feet. Under the floodlights, with the air inside the stadium vibrating with anticipation, thousands of fans leaned forward as if pulled by gravity itself. They had seen this story before. They had lived it, celebrated it, mourned its ending, and now, impossibly, they were watching it unfold again. When Cristiano Ronaldo stepped back onto the pitch, time did something strange. It didn't rewind. It didn't pause. It layered past and present together. And over the months that followed, 27 goals would not just be scored, they would be felt, debated, analyzed, and remembered as proof that greatness can return, reshape itself, and still command the game. This was not simply a football comeback. It was the second act of a legend. The return no one truly expected. In modern football, stories rarely come full circle. Players move forward, careers evolve elsewhere, and nostalgia is left to highlight reels. Yet when Cristiano Ronaldo rejoined, the move carried something deeper than transfer market logic. It was emotional symmetry. Years earlier, a teenage winger had arrived in Manchester, raw, electric, unpredictable, under the guidance of, who saw not just talent but destiny. That young player became one of football's defining figures before leaving to conquer Europe. His return was not about reliving youth. It was about redefining legacy. A different Ronaldo, a different mission. The Ronaldo who returned was not the same dribbler who dazzled defenders in 2003. That version thrived on flair, pace, and improvisation. The new version thrived on efficiency, intelligence, and timing. He had evolved through battles sharpened his discipline and arrived back in England not to prove potential, but to deliver certainty. Every movement now had purpose. He conserved energy instead of spending it. He attacked space instead of chasing the ball. He scored with calculation instead of chaos. And that transformation is what made the 27 goals remarkable. They weren't the output of a young forward, they were the craft of a master. Goals that meant more than numbers. Statistics often flatten stories. But these 27 goals were not equal entries on a scoresheet. Some arrived in moments of tension, when United needed calm. Others came in storms of criticism, when questions surrounded the team's direction. Several were scored in the kind of matches where only instinct, and belief, separates winners from spectators. Each goal reminded fans that Ronaldo's greatest strength was never just athleticism. It was timing. Psychological timing. He knew when a stadium needed hope. The weight of expectation. Returning legends rarely escape comparison with their younger selves. Every touch invites memory. Every sprint is measured against history. Yet Ronaldo didn't attempt to recreate the impossible. Instead, he embraced adaptation. Fewer stepovers, more positioning. Less dribbling from deep, more finishing in the box. Leadership replacing spectacle. This evolution mirrored how elite athletes survive across eras. Football had become faster, systems more structured, pressing more relentless. Ronaldo responded not by resisting change, but by mastering it. The modern striker is a specialist. During his earlier United years, Ronaldo was an attacking force across the pitch. In his return, he became something closer to a surgical instrument. He studied defensive lines. He anticipated second balls. He exploited hesitation. This version of Ronaldo reflected how football itself had changed. Data-driven, tactically dense, physically demanding. The modern forward no longer thrives purely on improvisation, they thrive on precision. And precision was exactly what delivered those 27 goals. Leadership beyond the ball. One of the most overlooked aspects of Ronaldo's return was not what he did in matches, but what he represented within the squad. Younger players saw preparation routines bordering on obsession, recovery discipline extending careers, a mentality that treated training sessions like finals. In an age where footballers are global brands as much as athletes, Ronaldo embodied professionalism as performance art. His presence altered standards without speeches. He didn't need to say, "This is how you win." He demonstrated it daily. A bridge between eras. Few players managed to connect generations of supporters. Ronaldo did. Fans who watched him debut shared stands with those who had only seen him dominate Champions League nights elsewhere. Parents explained memories to children while witnessing new ones unfold. Football, at its best, becomes intergenerational storytelling. Ronaldo's return allowed Manchester United supporters to experience continuity in a sport increasingly defined by rapid change. The tactical challenge of building around greatness. Integrating an iconic goalscorer into a modern system is never simple. Teams must balance collective structure with individual instinct. Ronaldo's presence raised complex questions. Should the system adapt to him? Or should he adapt to the system? Can both coexist without compromise? These questions shaped debates across punditry and fan culture alike. But they also reflected a deeper truth. When a player of historic magnitude enters a team, football becomes both sport and philosophy. The cultural impact of the comeback. Ronaldo's return wasn't just a sporting moment, it was a global media event. Social platforms exploded, shirt sales surged, conversations crossed continents. In many ways, the transfer illustrated football's transformation into shared digital theater. Fans who had never visited Manchester felt part of the experience. Ronaldo's 27 goals lived simultaneously. In stadium cheers, on highlight reels, in viral clips replayed millions of times. He wasn't just scoring in England. He was performing for the world. The psychology of the veteran competitor. What drives an athlete who has already won everything? Not trophies alone, not records alone, but the refusal to fade quietly. Ronaldo's return demonstrated a mindset rare even among elite professionals, the desire to remain central, not symbolic. He didn't come back for ceremony. He came back to matter. And every goal reinforced that intention. The evolution of greatness. Ronaldo's second spell at Manchester United invites comparison with other legendary returns in sport, but it also stands apart. Unlike sentimental comebacks designed to close careers, this chapter demanded performance. He wasn't protected by nostalgia. He was judged by results. Scoring 27 times under those conditions highlighted not just longevity, but reinvention. Greatness, in this sense, is not static. It mutates with context. The final transformation, from star to institution. By the time Ronaldo later moved to, his identity had shifted again. He was no longer simply a club legend or global superstar. He had become a footballing institution, an athlete whose career mapped the globalization of the sport itself. His Manchester United return served as the bridge between those identities. It showed how a player shaped by European competition could transition into a global ambassadorial presence while still delivering elite output. Why those 27 goals still matter. In purely statistical terms, 27 is just a number. In narrative terms, it represents something larger. Proof that adaptation can rival youth. Evidence that discipline can extend brilliance. A reminder that football careers are not linear, they are cyclical. For Manchester United supporters, those goals were moments of reconnection. For neutral observers, they were case studies in longevity. For aspiring athletes, they were lessons in reinvention. The enduring lesson of Ronaldo's return. Football constantly searches for the next phenomenon, the next prodigy, the next tactical revolution. Yet Ronaldo's comeback season offered a different message. The future of the game is not built only by the new. It is also shaped by how legends evolve. His 27 goals were not echoes of the past. They were markers of continuity, evidence that greatness can survive football's relentless acceleration. A story still being written. Every era believes it has witnessed the final chapter of Cristiano Ronaldo's influence. And every era, so far, has been wrong. Because players like him don't simply retire from relevance. They redefine where relevance lives. His Manchester United return was not a closing act. It was a reminder that legacy in football is not what you leave behind, it is what continues to move forward, long after expectations say it should stop. And that is why those 27 goals will always mean more than numbers. They were not just scored. They were authored, like sentences in a story that refuses to end. Follow for more information.